So you can see the 5 stages of grief in Jake Dickert's behavior over the last year and a half.
Oh, 100%.
And if you don't know what the 5 stages of grief are, it starts with denial. Then it's anger, and we've seen a lot of that from him. Then it's bargaining, followed by depression and acceptance. And it appears that Jake Dickert has found his way to acceptance.
Well, that's good. That's when the healing process can begin.
That's right. So I saw this article in the Spokesman Review.
I don't think you went there.
From Spokane,
Because
Washington.
That has a paywall.
That's how you say
behind
it, right? Spokane, Washington.
Spokane. Yeah, there's a paywall behind that. So
that paper was established in 1883.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Seems like that's.
There is not a paywall behind this. I don't know why.
Really?
I was able to read it.
Oh.
And I'm glad I was, because it's provided some show content. So we have to give credit to Dave Bowling.
Way to go, Dave.
Who is a columnist at the Spokesman Review.
I always think of the great Theo Lawson.
Yeah.
We've had on the program a time or two. He used to cover the Cougs for the.
What's he doing now?
I don't know. I don't know if he's still at the Review or not.
Okay. Yeah, still at the Review.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Well, shout out to the great Theo Lawson, even though, Dave,
Shout out.
Even though Dave gets the credit for this.
Well, Dave caught up with Dickert, and, I think Dickert is kind of a red ass, but again, what football coach isn't?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
He had a tough circumstance there.
I don't know how good he is. Yeah, exactly. But I felt like, and we've talked about this before, the Beavers and the Cougs initially, particularly Dickert, they were awful whiny. Look, it sucked, okay?
Yes.
But the way not to handle it is to just sit and bitch about it.
Yeah.
And he's a leader of young men. Like, we get it. It sucks. Yep. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. And he was always complaining about NIL and all that. And like, hey.
Always complaining. I mean, I love him, but what a bitch. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
and I don't even know that I love Jake Dickert.
That about sums it up. I like Coach Dickert.
I don't know how
good he is. I'm not going to say that I love him, but he's,
he's fine. Whatever. Well, anyway.
He's got a beautiful family.
Bowling sat down with him, and he said Jake Dickert has a nimble mind.
Okay.
And he said he just caught him at a good time because it's the middle of summer, and he was asking him about how you fix college football, and Bowling said that Dickert's answer was so good that he had to write a column about it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Can I also, before you get into how he solves, fixes college football, can I ask a dead serious question?
You may.
Is college football broken?
Well, I think from Jake Dickert's perspective, it probably is.
Because no offense, everyone that claims that college football is broken, there's more interest than ever. Numbers are up, revenue's up, eyeballs are up, players are empowered now. They're getting paid. We're moving out of the dark ages as far as the stupid NCAA regulations, which no one followed anyways. So again, I asked the question, what needs to be fixed? I mean, tweaked, sure, but these college football is broken, people. I'm going to need some proof of receipt here on what's broken.
He says, okay, I'm just going to read it to you. He chuckles at the question as if warning me that he had put his mind to the issue already. After all, it is his life's work. Mm-hmm. Quote, I think the first thing that needs to happen is the NCAA needs to break into 3 divisions.
Okay.
The football division, men's and women's basketball divisions, and an Olympic sports division.
That actually makes sense.
You have to run and operate those things with 3 different viewpoints. We're all trying to fit into the same homogenous pots when those are really 3 different ventures. However that looks, I think we need to be able to govern ourselves in our realm as a money-making revenue sport.
Well, dare I say...
Pretty good so far.
That's pretty good. Even though I don't agree that college football is broken, I like what he's doing there. Because that does make... I'm a common sense guy. And that does make common sense because those are absolutely 3 very, very different entities. I think he's simplifying it because he's trying to include all college football programs together. Wrong.
He's not done yet.
Okay.
Hold on. So he says, for too long, he said the NFL has avoided sharing any revenue with college football.
Oh, my God.
Which serves as its minor leagues. He sees an upper division being created where, say, the top 40 schools create an NFL-type deal with maybe 4 10-team regional leagues that do their own thing. For now, he sees Washington State fitting in the next division. I would love to see it go back to a little more amateurism, maybe with some NIL stuff included. I think that would be really cool for Washington State to have a chance to go win a national championship at that division if you invest. I think that would be phenomenal, but there's a lot of work to how the revenue streams get sorted out to compensate the athlete the right way. So he's saying...
You lost me.
Oh, you don't like what he's saying, or
I
don't
think-
understand what he's saying?
Well, both. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
It started out okay, and by the end, it sounds like an absolute pipe dream.
And also, let me just say for the record, anything that you talk about when you're saying that the NFL is going to share some money with you, that's adorable. Like, really? Yeah, you know what I really think would be awesome if the NFL took some of their $13 billion and gave it to us. Yeah, why don't you call the NFL, and I'm sure they'll get right on that and be like, hey, you know what we'd really like, guys? You know, we make all this money, and we just have so much of it. We'd like to give it to you to be our minor league system when for all time, you just have been our minor league system, and you will continue to be our minor league system, and we don't have to pay for it. That's a great model.
So let's see if he gets you back here.
All right.
Okay, so he says, this reads, if Dickert were in charge, he also would align the football schedule with the college class timeline. He said, quote, I would love to see games start being played in mid-August. There's nothing on TV, and you could play games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday the last 2 weeks in August. That allows Thanksgiving weekend to be the first round of a 28-team playoff. You would do away with the conference championships. These teams have 18 teams in their leagues, and they play 8. How do you get a conference champion out of that schedule? That August window would add great exposure value to college football. In terms of recruiting in the transfer portal, Dickert works closely with program general manager Rob Schlager. He's the most detailed, articulate, and well-thought-out planner, and we do tons of stuff together. Dickert described the current state of college sports as Moneyball, citing the book and movie about the A's becoming competitive by using analytics to combat fiscal disadvantages. College football is now Major League Baseball, unsalary capped, he said. The guys with money can spend it. If you're Oakland and you develop Jason Giambi, you're going to lose him to the Yankees. In this analogy, Washington State is Oakland. He says, same with us. Who's going to be here? How are you going to develop them? In the transfer portal, you've got to find the guy who has certain metrics, but he gets overlooked and he comes to you. In the process, the importance of effective roster building has been exponentially increased. Players with unlimited free agency may seem like commodities, but they can't be treated as such. You have to talk to players about controlling their environment and having realistic expectations. Dickert said the talented quarterback, Cam Ward, provided the prime example, and honest communication was key. He says, you've got a 21-year-old kid trying to do his best every Saturday, and that drastically matters to his future. What I want to do is take the pressure off. Cam, I'm with you. Let's talk about it. Let's have these conversations and make sure this is not a weight on your shoulders. Of course, he transferred to Miami. Dickert, he transferred to Miami for what they say is life-changing money.
Yeah. A couple $1 million.
Dickert agreed with this, and he said that the move was the right thing for him to do. Dickert took over late in the 21 season amid coaching chaos, a pandemic, and a national athletic enterprise erasing its long-held set of rules. Through it all, his Cougs have gone 15-16. Of course, everything about college sports could change within the next week, but Dickert may already have a plan outlined for such things. So did he get you back at all
No.
with any of that?
No. I mean,
He understands that they're Oakland.
Yeah, he understands that they're Oakland, and you know, I appreciate what he's coming from, but again, this is my thing: is he's talking about a system that's broken, but it's only broken for a handful of teams, and he happens to be one of them. Like, but I do think it's interesting when he's talking about the division thing. But again, if you ask a Washington State fan, do you want to go down to a division where you're not playing Oregon and not playing Ohio State? We've talked about that before, and fans freak out about that. Washington State fan doesn't want that.
Everyone wants a seat at the table.
Everyone
always.
wants a seat at the table. And if you do go down to that, then there is no money involved in it. I mean, if you don't like the amateur or if you want to go back to the amateur model, then you eventually become the Ivy League. And even if you say there's some NIL money in it, if you're playing for, you know, a Montana-esque and that's where you're going to go, I actually don't think that's a terrible thing for Washington State. I don't think it's a terrible thing for Oregon State. I don't think it's a terrible thing for a lot of those schools that really don't have a chance to compete at the highest level. Convince your fans and your alumni of that. So I don't know, that's just as interesting that to me, he spent all this time complaining about the kind of, getting left out in the cold and it changing. And now you're basically saying we're fine just playing at I don't know, at the kids' table.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's a bit strange to me.
But I think what he's saying is if you have a 28-team playoff, you still got a chance that route.
So he's saying that the
I think
little
that's
kid
what he's-
table still gets to play up with the big boys?
I think that's what he's saying. I mean, if he's saying 10 or 4 10-team leagues,
Yeah.
that's 40 teams. Surely he can't think that they're one of those 40.
They certainly
So
wouldn't
he's talking about the next division down. But if you have a 28-team playoff, it's not going to be 28 of the 40 that's in the
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, come on.
No, and again,
I think what he's saying is the top teams from the 40 go, and then the rest of the spots are filled with all these other.
I'm
programs.
open to people having discussions, but I would like them to be based in reality. And the moment you started talking about the NFL paying for college football, I don't know, you just never got me back. But I do appreciate the fact that he realizes the unique challenges that exist amongst, schools like Washington State. And I do feel bad for him because I think what happened to Washington State and Oregon State is very unfair. And hopefully it gets corrected. And they end up in the Big 12 or they end up in the ACC, and you do have a place at the table, and it's not the Big 10, and you're never going to be on par with the Ohio States, but you never were. You never were on par. It's just that every time I talk to a fan base over the years, they tell you, would you rather be the little guy playing with the big boys, but still having that opportunity, or go be the Montana, go be the big boy, or North Dakota State? I've never once heard any support for going down and playing at a reduced level.
But isn't that what he's saying, though?
That appeared to be what he was saying to me, which I thought was very, very interesting coming from a coach of a program and a fan base that has spent the last year plus bitching about getting left out of the grown-ups.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's pretty refreshing, and maybe he's got acceptance.
But also, you
He's
need to
come
get
to
so
acceptance.
many people on board with that. And if like Suke's saying, if everybody's been pushing the other direction, no, we need to stay part of this group instead of, we're okay being part of this other group. I just don't know that you can get enough buy-in from everybody.
No, it's just, I don't know. I just think that, again, there's a lot of people that come to the table with unrealistic ideas. And, that's unrealistic ideas are often the best ideas because they sound amazing. Hey, everyone's going to get a really cool house. Everyone's going to get a great job. No one's going to get sick. No one's going to die. No more crime in the streets. No more homeless people. We're going to solve the drug problem. But that's not reality. In order to do these sorts of things, you actually need ideas that the Washington States of the world may be on board with, but also the Ohio States of the world need to be on board with. And, so you just lose me when you get into these kind of, I don't know, pie in the sky, radical transformation things. It was like, there was a group not too long ago that was trying to put together a new model of college football. It was like Arizona was involved with it. You remember we were talking about this, and they got some, they had some backers. They were assembling like some.
Was this the private equity thing?
No, it wasn't the private equity thing. There was a group that got together, and they had some old NFL execs that were involved in it, and they got some former ADs of the college football world, and they were talking about like a radical shift in college football. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah, but I do remember that.
You
But
remember that?
I thought that was they were a private equity group. That was the group talking about ushering in private equity.
Maybe that's what it was, and maybe it did involve private.
And it had
equity.
like a Florida State alum in it.
And they were talking about this radical shift and how it was going to, like, it was going to change college football for the better, and everyone was, more money for everybody, and everyone was going to be raised up, and we were all sitting here looking at it and being like, why would anyone that's a top of college football do this? And like it was like, well, this would be so great for so many people. And I'm like, yeah, but there's only like really 30 schools that matter in the world of college football. And the Big Ten was already threatening to, and the SEC were already threatening to break away. So why would Ohio State and Alabama and these schools that are making hundreds of millions of dollars and basically guarantee themselves a spot at the table, and the system works just phenomenally for them. Why would they in any shape or form agree to something that lessened their control, lessened their authority, lessened their power for basically no more money? Stuff
Yeah.
like that just doesn't make any sense.
Was that Redbird Capital? And they had this deal of
That's what I'm thinking of.
they had this deal called Collegiate Athletic Solutions.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're basically just talking about infusing private equity into college football.
No, but this was a grander plan. This guy was just talking about putting private equity into a handful of programs. The other one was literally trying to transform college football, and they were going around and trying to get like college football leaders to kind of get on board with this and make a push. And they had a couple old NFL execs, and they had like a group, and there was a name behind it, and they were trying to push for this new college football model. And it just made zero sense to anyone
Yeah, right.
that actually has
A brain.
authority.